we're going to do a brief review of the CF500 Laser and Stim. So this is a device. You'll see there the USB charging port. There is a larger port for the ear clips and stim cable, and a smaller port for the nasal laser. You can use the two devices at the same time, or you can use the nasal laser independently of the stim and use the stim independently of the nasal laser. The one thing to keep in mind is there's only one power setting. So if you're using the stim device on a low setting, the laser will also be on that same low setting. So there can be advantages to using the nasal laser separately. So the nasal laser can be used at high power, where it's most effective. And the stimulation is most effective at a lower power. It can be used at high power, but we actually get the best benefit we're in the lower amperage range of stimulation versus the higher. As we get up into the higher levels, we get into the tens range, which is more of a physical therapy for muscular rehabilitation, for transcranial stimulation, for treating anxiety, depression, for other internal health treatments. Using a low amperage, so down at the level of 1 or 2 on the power setting, is a much more effective treatment than up into the 5, 6, 7 level of a power setting. So we're going to talk mostly here about the cranial stim feature. So on the side, there's a power button. You just move that up to the on setting, and then a long hold will bring on the power. So then the two arrows is the select. So now the blinking eye is intensity. So if I wanted to set that down to the lowest setting, 1 bar there. This is where I can set the waveform. So I could move through the 4 different waveforms. My recommendation is to stay on the S, or the sinusoidal waveform. It's the most common in stimulation treatment, and it's the most comfortable for the treatment. So I would just keep it on the S for all treatments. So then now you see the frequency is blinking, so you can set that in long holds. It'll jump down faster. For the most part, I just recommend treating at 500 hertz unless there's a specific treatment that you're wanting to do directed by a clinician. But for the average user, the default is 500, and that's a perfectly good place to So back to baseline. So then again, we go back to our power setting. Again, we could set our waveform. And then if we want to start treatment, we just hit the power button. You'll notice that the timer starts to count down, and the little symbol for the current is showing. So this tells us current is running. The clock is counting down. Our power level and what waveform we're using are showing on the screen. So now the treatment is running, and at 1 bar, you might feel a little bit of a tickle, but I wouldn't expect at level 1 that you would feel much. So my recommendation is you start at 1, then you can go ahead and change it to 2. For ear clips, transcranial stimulation, a setting of 1 to 3 is likely best for most people. There may be an occasional person who would find 4 a comfortable setting, but for most people, 1 to 3 is going to be comfortable. Ideally, you have a little piece of wet paper towel over your earlobe, and the ear clip is over top of the wet paper towel. The water helps conduct the current. It makes the ear clip a little more comfortable on the skin. So it's overall a benefit to the treatment, makes it more comfortable to have the wet paper towel. With the wet paper towel, you could have a little bit more current, so you could go a little bit higher because you're going to have better conduction across the skin, less of the prickles, and that just makes for a comfortable treatment. So again, we're going to do a long pause here. We've got our switch turned up. Long hold to bring it on. We stay at the default 500. We come to the power. We back off to 1. And then we can go ahead and just start our treatment. Okay, so each time when you come in, you'll start. Stay with the default of 500 unless you want to change it. The one thing is you'll notice here, it defaults to a power level of 5. So each time you'll want to reset it to whatever you've decided your comfortable level is. So maybe you're a 1, maybe you're a 2. Choose your setting, and then you could go ahead and start. And then when you're finished, and if you're going to store it, you can turn that off. And that basically, the off button deactivates the screen so it doesn't accidentally get turned on when you have it in storage. If you're using it daily and you're keeping this kind of maybe out next to your office chair or next to the sofa where you do your treatments, or on your bedstand when you do your cranial stim at night for sleep, then you might decide to just leave the on button there so that all you need to do when you come in to do your treatment is just a long hold to activate the screen, select, set your power level, start, and you're up and running. And it'll count down to 0 and turn itself off.